Hello, hi, and welcome. Thanks for tuning in, and it's great to have you with us. I think you've noticed in the last videos where we looked at Meguiar's products, especially the new releases, that the products haven't always fully convinced us. I'm thinking here of the last product that came out, namely this interior cleaner. I think it was called Glass, Dash, and something else, which was meant to compete a bit with the Sonax Clean Star, where we had already shown that the product promise, in particular, the promise that it should create and leave a hydrophobic surface, wasn't really fulfilled. We took a look at the new additional tire care, the Tire Shine, and found that it doesn't do anything different or better than any other Shine product, tire care products that Meguiar's has. We looked at the hybrid ceramic wash and wax sealing shampoo and noticed, this was a while ago now, that the sealing component sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Because Meguiar's is the only manufacturer that has provided us with a sealing shampoo that consists of two components, namely the actual shampoo and the sealing component itself. And this mixing hasn't always worked reliably. When it worked, it was good. On the other hand, it's worth mentioning that Meguiar's has shown products in the past that were really, really good. Personally, I really like the hybrid ceramic liquid wax as a liquid wax. It works absolutely flawlessly and provides a nice color refresh along with good hydrophobic properties. That's not the longest lasting option, but it basically works. I'm also a big fan of the hybrid ceramic quick detailer. This is the bright green bottle here because I think it's one of the best quicks detailer with sealing properties. The hybrid ceramic wax in the turquoise bottle. That was kind of a borderline case. When it works, it's great, but it was mainly a bit tricky due to the complicated application instructions, so it wasn't for everyone. Now there's a product from the same product line, the hybrid ceramic series, namely the waterless wash and wax. A waterless wash that promises you can clean the car without a bucket, without water, while also leaving a seal. And now let's take a look in this video to see if this works, giving Meguiar's another chance. And now I really hope that this is finally a product from Meguiar's that convinces us. As always, we start by looking at what it is, what it can do, what it promises, and how much it costs. This bottle here should have it written somewhere, I believe, right there. With 24 fluid ounces or 710 milliliters, costs around 19 to 20 euros. Of course, with Meguiar's, it's always the case that you can sometimes find it a bit cheaper, especially on Amazon. But that's the price you pay here. The name is, as always, complicated, hybrid ceramic waterless wash and wax. It's a waterless washed hum that is supposed to leave a wax seal at the same time. It says here, spray on, wipe off, car wash. You don't need a bucket, you don't need any water, you don't need running water. It should be a super slick, no scratch formula. That means it should, due to its good glide properties, help prevent scratches during the waterless wash. And it says boosts beading protection. That means it should additionally support the hydrophobic performance if there's already a paint sealant applied. Then, as always exemplary with Meguiar's, we have the application instructions in several languages on here. No warning symbols. I also checked the data sheet, and that matches up, which is good and pretty cool. And then here it is again for the German language. Everything it promises, how to use it. But basically, it just says here that you either spray it directly onto the paint or you spray it onto a cloth, wipe with one cloth over the dirty surface, making a rolling motion, then go in with the second cloth and remove the residues. It's a waterless wash. This isn't rocket science. Now we know everything we need to know about it and we can start the test right away. I also have a perfect test subject here. Delivery van, as a white delivery van. That means we can clearly see that there's actually dirt on here and can... Let's properly test the Meguiar's hybrid ceramic waterless wash and wax here. Let me show you up close what we're dealing with here. I have the Meguiar's waterless, I have two microfiber cloths, and we're just going to see how well it cleans or doesn't clean. And actually, we can see here when I run my finger over it, the dirt comes off a bit, but not completely yet. If I press harder, then already. Now, this isn't extreme dirt, but it's not absolutely light dirt either. And especially for me, this is exactly the threshold where I have to think about whether I should still go waterless or if I would rather work with a proper hand wash here. I can't make that decision yet, but this is a nice test to see how well the Meguiar's waterless actually cleans. The spray nozzle is loaded. I'm spraying some in. So that's how I do it. And then I let it sit for a bit. This is where it works, so that the cleaning ingredients in there can start to loosen the dirt a bit. I'm using the orange cloth for the first wipe. Now you should do it with a typical rolling motion. Yes, definitely, there was dirt on it. It cleaned, but it's still not completely done in the first pass. That's why I'm spraying a fresh side of the cloth now, because if I were to use it again, I'd definitely risk streaks. Sprayed a fresh side of the cloth again. I'm going to go over it again. And now I would say, yes, now we've removed most of it. All right, I'm going to do that up there with an additional fresh side. You can already see waterless means you need enough microfiber cloths so that it works properly. Very good. Fresh side, because we have quite a bit of dirt on it again. So now I'm taking another fresh dry cloth and I can go over it again here and remove the remnants of Meguiar's. And yes, not too much is promised at first. That creates a certain paint cling. So far, I would say it's looking pretty good. By now, there are already a few phrases of mine that are legendary, and many of you have even had them printed on t-shirts. All products have their compromises, for example, and you all know the following sentence very well. The minimum requirement for a test is a reference surface. That means either a clean surface or a reference product. Now one has to say here, of course, you could mix just about any rinse, the product accordingly, the word, the product. There are other words besides concentrates. There are other words for less ready-to-use products. You can use certain quick detailers as a word for all washes. We have enough options. But I thought that the product that probably comes closest to Meguiar's is the Sonax Waterless wash. And that's exactly what we're going to apply right next to it and just see how well it handles the same dirt. I will use the Sonax Waterless wash exactly the same way. We're spraying this on. I find that quite interesting. I didn't see that one with the Meguiar's, that the dirt seems to be loosened just by spraying it on. That's interesting. We're also spraying a fresh side of the cloth with the Sonax Waterless wash. Oops, the bottle has fallen over. And now let's just see how well the Sonax Waterless wash handles this. Oh, much better. So there are still a few residues down here. That's why I'm going over it a second time. But it definitely feels like it works much better. Already on the first wipe. I'm going over this again with a fresh side of the cloth. And notice it feels like the Sonax dry wash doesn't produce quite a smooth surface. But purely in terms of cleaning performance, I felt like it works better. Now, to be fair, maybe there was just more dirt on the front, so we're going to move over to the other side and try the same thing again, but in reverse order. I'm interrupting the video for an important announcement. All jokes aside, we all make mistakes sometimes. I make mistakes, President Trump makes mistakes, the Pope makes mistakes, everyone makes mistakes. What's important is that you notice them, that you learn from them, and that you especially stand by them. I was just in the process of editing the video for the Meguiar's Hybrid Ceramic Waterless Wash and Wax, and I noticed something I did wrong myself, namely the attentive viewers will have noticed it too. I sprayed the Meguiar's onto the dirty surface, and then I went over the area with the dry cloth, and I felt like it wasn't cleaned well enough. On the side where I used the Sonax, I sprayed it on the paint and also onto the cloth. And then I felt that the cleaning performance with the Sonax was better. That was a mistake. It wasn't consistent. It was especially not fair and not applied equally to both products. And that's why I wanted to point that out at this point. As you will soon notice, in comparison on the other side of the car, where I compared them again, I applied both products consistently, and there I suddenly felt that both cleaned equally well. And I just wanted to mention that fairly at this point. So as you can see, same car, same dirt, but this time I'm using the Sonax. On this side, and again here, I feel like it's just me. Just by spraying the Sonax dry wash, cleaning performance is already taking place. Do you see how the dirt is already running off? We take a fresh cloth side. Yes, I stand by that. I have the feeling that Sonax cleans better. Hold on, let's check again. Second wipe. Very good. We'll also take a fresh side of the cloth here. Let's move on. Yes, but now I have the feeling again that it's already quite smooth. Also here on the side, direct comparison. Meguiar, over there. Yes, I stand by. I believe Sonax simply cleans better here. Just by spraying it on. I'm taking a fresh side of the cloth. Yes, but it's also good. So to be honest, maybe that was just a gut feeling. Because it looks good here now, I have to say about the Meguiars. But that's why it's important to first conduct comparison tests with reference products. No, the Meguiars is definitely smoother than the Sonax. Yes, definitely. First of all, it's important to conduct comparison tests for that reason. And that you always ask yourself, am I doing the right thing here? Because I think it was good that we turned this around again, the order. I would actually say at least just as good. The two products possibly with slight advantages for the Sonax in terms of cleaning performance. But let's be fair, we'll say they're equally good. Now normally, when we compare products from Meguiars with those from Sonax in our region, you have to say they tend to be a bit more expensive. Here, on the other hand, you have to say the costs are almost the same. With Sonax, there are 750 ml, which is 40 ml more than with Meguiars. But they both cost between 18, 19 and 20 euros. That's not a huge difference. So in terms of price, the two products aren't that different. Of course, both cost a lot more compared to a rinseless concentrate that you mix yourself. So you really have to stay objective. But if we only compare these two here, they're pretty much on par. Now, Meguiar's not only promises that this is a waterless wash, but that it's a waterless wash that also leaves a hydrophobic seal. And that's exactly what we're going to check here on this car. I mostly removed all the various sealants that were still on the hood beforehand. And we will also make a direct comparison with the Sonax waterless wash there. Yes, and I think in some places it's still cracking. That means it's not 100% sealant free, but I would say it's far enough removed from sealants that we can proceed with this test now. Well, you see, I couldn't wait. Yes, and that's a relatively clear result. In particular, I feel like the longer I hold it here on the macOS, the worse it gets. Meanwhile, it looks significantly better here with Sonax. Also with Sonax, you have to say, the more water you add, the more effort it requires. But with Sonax, you can at least clearly see where the taped off area was. And with the Meguiars, the water film does pull together nicely, which is called cheating, but you can't really tell anymore where it was applied. Yes, I think that's a relatively clear result. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I really hope this is finally a Meguiar's product that impresses me. Overall, I have to say that the entire hybrid ceramic series, except for the shampoo and tire care, has always impressed me. These are definitely products that can compete with other good ones. They are not always the best products in their category, but generally they were and are products that Meguiar's has at least remained true to. Because what Meguiar's has always been for me is a brand that gives us products that work absolutely effortlessly, without any issues, and are forgiving of mistakes. Maybe they don't always have the best durability, maybe they're not always the most hydrophobic, but at least they work reliably and without any issues. And now the waterless wash and wax is also included. And here I have to say, yes, this was finally a product that impressed me more. It's also not a product that is the best in this category or that works exceptionally well. But at least it's a product that can compete with comparable products in terms of price. It's a product that delivers on what it promises. It cleans the surface nicely, it leaves a certain hydrophobic protection, and above all, it creates a beautiful paint smoothness. That's all good for now. If you wanted to just criticize Meguiar's, you would say that all of this comes from the Sonax dryness. You can get a dry wash for the same price, and here you also get a stronger sealing component. But that wouldn't be entirely fair, because I think we have a category here where we have to say all products come with compromises. In my view, the cleaning performance is equally good between these two products here. The Sonax dry wash leaves a stronger, more hydrophobic and more durable seal. But when it comes to paint smoothness, Meguiar's is clearly ahead. And that's why I'm sure this will find its fans even in direct comparison with the Sonax dry wash. For me, both of these products are in the category of ready-to-use dry washes. That means you use them just as they come in the bottles. No concentrates that you have to mix first. They work well, they work reliably, and basically this is finally a product from Meguiar's again. What I can recommend to you, not without reservations. I pointed out the weaknesses to you, but at least it works well in the end. One more note about the scent. Both have a fragrance in them. I personally think that Meguiar's smells incredibly great and delicious. There is so really pleasant, sweet, but not overly so. There's a sweet scent in it that also spreads in the air when you use it. So from that perspective, it's a product that can definitely convince. The only note I would give you at this point is the following. Meguiar's mentions that it's a product that can also be used on ceramic coatings. I wouldn't necessarily do that because we've seen that the hydrophobicity isn't exactly the best and that it doesn't last very long. In the same vein, one could say that because it doesn't last very long, it probably washes off the ceramic relatively quickly. But I think there are better products out there if you really want to use something like a dry wash or a quick detailer on a ceramic. That's the only note I want to give at this point. Otherwise, yes, I give the product a conditional thumbs up. And that's all I want to say about the product. If you found the video helpful, informative, exciting, and interesting, feel free to give us a thumbs up, support the channel with a free subscription, and tune in for the next video. Hello?